Siri had a nice upside today. I had a two fractals I had before. Interestingly, it's mimic. It's start to following this the orange one. So there you go. It's something that they run, right. So yeah, that's and I know there's people who are interested in maybe Siri calls. I do wanted to warn them because there's gonna be a big volatility coming in, but I personally I do like to wait for the pullback. Could possibly after earning. I think earning is on April. Where's the earning here? Where is earning? Oh, there you go. So the earning is coming up here. Oh, today they had an earning already. Okay, but there should be another one. But yeah, I guess it's gonna have some rally. Some momentum here. But I do expect some pullback after April earning, and I'll probably wait for that. I don't know. It's up to you guys. But I think they're gonna try to kill options and stuff maybe here before heading into the final squeeze territory. I personally don't know if this is gonna go this much, but this is just the direction that I have here. It may take some time, so I'll probably give some time until May, and then maybe by end of this year, possibly October, before November, maybe things could blow up. So that's Siri. Yeah, let's take a look at GME here. So 1 second. So there's a couple scenarios here I see here, right? So some people might say, yeah, like we might see a rally because we just had an announcement from RC that he is actually converting. I'm transferring all his shares from RC Ventures to himself in register in Canada. I do believe that I did my own research in DD, and then based on some of the research that I had, I do believe that it is a strategic. I mean, he has to do either regulatory purposes because of the merger acquisitions, or I mean, there should be some sort of a it's not. I don't think it's just only one reason. I think the other reason is that I do really like the idea, and I think it is true that he's moving his shares, right? To basically like directly register shares. So I think that's kind of like forcing short sellers to cover their short positions, or the market maker has to buy back the shares in order to deliver to RC, himself from the RC Venture. So that could be a catalyst to kick off the rally. But I personally, because I've been watching this for a long time, I personally don't believe that it's gonna rally right now. And I might be wrong, but based on what I see here, I personally don't think they're gonna. Market maker will most likely will crash before run this thing, in my opinion, because they need shares, right? They need shares to deliver to Ryan Cohen, right? So I think they're gonna, it looks like it's moving up. So in my opinion, it's a fake. I mean, it's not fake, but it's like the algo is very slow. I think they're just using these fractals here. So and then they're just taking some time. So it's really kind of it makes people to feel hard to see where we at exactly. But when you look at RSI, I think we are at this bottom here, which it bottom out here in RSI. This is 8 hours and this is 30 minutes, because the April run is a lot faster, so I'm using the shorter one. And right now it's way slower, so I'm using the 8 hours one. So I do think that that's a good comparison between the to compared to RSI. And RSI, as you can see, it has a very similarity. When this thing hit the all-time high, not all-time high, when this thing went up before pullback, And they created this type of 1, 2, 3 kind of waves here, which makes same thing, 1, 2, 3, and they had a flushed out. Now we just kind of going through this kind of area, which is some sort of I don't know what it's called, but yeah, some sort of a accumulation phase, I think, in my opinion. So that's kind of where we at. So we just hit one area, which is this one. So we had that one here, and then there's a pullback, and and then there was a pullback, and then now we had another one, which just happened after FMC, and then there's another pullback here, right? So I think there might be a 1 or 2 pullbacks here, in my opinion. So I think it might come soon, maybe this Friday. So we'll see. I think usually the Friday they like to drop it to kill options chains and stuff like that, right? So I do think that it's gonna try to push things downward tomorrow, and there's, I think, reason why they leave a gap here as well. So if you look at this at the 30-minute chart, there's a gap here at $27.57, and I do think there's a reason why they did kind of did that, right? It's like this, they left the gap up, which is our RC, not RC, sorry, Roaring Kitty tweets, and then gap up, and then they come down to fill the gap, right? Something like that. So they left the gap here again to do to downward, so I do think that they do also same thing, gap up, come down to fill the gap, right? So there's just some similarity it's happening here, the algo wise, gap up, come down to fill the gap, even the small one, gap up, come down to fill the gap, right? So there, I think algo is doing strategically creating the fractals right now, and they left the gap here since from yesterday. So I do think that they're gonna find a direction to pull this back to fill the gap, and then it might come down even further to touch $25.60. So let's see if this will work out like that. I think I need more information. I need more confirmation. So I do want to see how much this thing will pull back down. And I think those are the key things that I wanted to take a look at before entering calls. Right now I have some put options to just kind of hedging myself, but I think I think I'll just wait for the moment where this thing really just kind of flushed out one more time, and before this thing start to blow up. So some people might say like, yeah, we might be here, and then they might be true, they might speed up the algo here, and then but eventually it's either we are here, right, or here. We still will come down to below this level. So I do think that RC covering is not gonna happen right away. It's gonna take some time for market makers to find the shares, like what happened to Market Burry, right, in 2020. It takes a weeks to find his share, right? Do you guys remember that? Maybe I can pull a post here if somebody hasn't seen that post yet. So he did mention that where was the other one here? I think there was a tweet that it took. Oh yeah, so May 2020, he lent out his GameStop shares, right? And then this is posted on after squeeze. So he posted this after squeeze. So he shared this information. So May he lent out so he lent out the shares, and then he called the shares in, and it took my broker weeks to find my shares, right? So I cannot imagine the shitstorms in the settlements now, right? So so he said that. So if RC basically transfer 9.6% or something, right? He has a lot of shares. So if he transfers his shares, now the DTCC and the other brokers will have to find his shares, right? And it's gonna take about weeks, right? It might not take maybe a few days, but it's gonna take a while. So that makes sense, because now it's end of January. So if if you apply like a couple weeks or 3 weeks, we might end up here, and then that's when the rally could begins, right? So I think there's some sort of a catalyst kind of placed here. So we'll see, we'll see how this plays out, but I do believe that there's gonna be a one or two more pullbacks, which what happened here. And let's take a look at AMC as well, right? AMC, as I mentioned before, I post this one. I shared this post January 19 about last week, I guess, right? So, and then some people start to see something here, similarity, right? But yeah, I think that's kind of where it's going right now, right? And I think people start to seeing that kind of, oh yeah, it seems like it's moving similar to what you see here, and yeah, it is what what's going on. So yeah, they're just using the same 2020 fractals. Interestingly, I mean, they don't give a shit about the how the naked shorts and all this shit's gonna happen here. I mean, when GameStop blew up, I mean, AMC will blow up altogether, and I just have no idea how they're gonna control that thing. I mean, it is gonna be a control squeeze, but still, like, I just can't imagine, like, yeah, what's gonna happen, and how they're gonna cover these things. And then yeah, so let's look at the fractals here. I can just kind of show you this one. So some fractals run faster, as you can see, and then comes down here. It's very similar to 2020, and there's a gap here that left from May gap up here. And then I think it's very strategic that they're kind of doing that, right? So they left a gap, had a giant squeeze, and then do all this kind of stuff to run same 2020 fractals with the speed of way slower speed, right? Speed is not as the same as 2020 because of the liquidity is almost dried out, right? So so now you're seeing the same path of same fractals that they're running, so you can't really ignore that, right? So yeah, they're using these things, and they left the gap for a reason, and then they just gonna come down to fill this gap, and then they're gonna do another some sort of a pop up and down and stuff. But I was kind of seeing this like, okay, if GameStop runs, do AMC will run together? And then I continued to ask this kind of question to myself as I compared the fractals between AMC and GameStop. But I do believe that AMC is as you guys know, this is used as some sort of market makers and hedge funds collateral to short the basket and GameStop stocks. So this is just AMC is just their ammunitions to suppress the basket stock as much as possible. And then when one of those stocks blow up, AMC will blow up altogether. And I think Ryan Cohen understand this same kind of the tactics here that they're using, market makers or hedge funds are using, right? They're just kind of really manipulating the price, or they're just really I don't know, like it's really, it's just the way they do things it's just a crime, right? But I think RC understand that, and that he's gonna announce it when the AMC squeeze 2021 squeeze cycle kicks in, right? So I think they might using similar fractals here. So even if there's gonna be a short-lived rally in February or March, I do expect that there might be a potential dilution here on April 8th. Which is a fractals where AMC did a huge dilutions in 2020 December. So I mean, not financial advice, but if you see another huge dilutions around in April or mid-April, don't be surprised, because that's just kind of what market makers and hedge funds are creating based on the fractals. So they're creating this, they're using this fractals, and they're just kind of pointing out, okay, we're gonna run this fractal. So what's the materials, what's the things that could use to drop this price, right? The only thing is a dilution, right? Share offering or dilution. So that's what they did here, and then they drop it. they did exactly creating same fractals here. Same thing, I think same scenario will happen here in April 8th. There could be a potential share offerings to create, in order to create these fractals to match with 2020. They might do another share offerings to kick this off, and then hit the final bottom, and that's when this thing will kick off the January squeeze cycle here, this phase, and then that's when GME will drop a huge catalyst here, and I personally think that's when Bed Bath Beyond will come back, right? And then I don't know if they're gonna come back here. I don't know if they're gonna come back here, but I believe that it's time for BBBY to come back because RC is kicking off something here, that he's moving his share from RC Ventures to himself, Ryan Cohen, and then that's registered in Canada. Bed Bath Beyond, BBBY also is going through a Chapter 11 in US. However, there's also BBBY Canada. BBB Canada is also going through a protection of the creditors. RC is a creditors. He buy bonds through. So the call icon is strategy. As you guys know, call icon is a very well-known active investors, and one of the call icon strategy is they buy bonds through some sort of they buy debt security of the company, which is bonds, right? Bonds or bank debt, right? So for example, BBBY has about $5.4 billion liability, and there's some sort of JP Morgan also had BBBY owns JP Morgan some debt, right? And then that debt was paid through 6th Street, right? So I think some of those things, like here he says other corporate obligations, yeah, it seems that they're already prepared to pay this off, right? And then that's how they acquire companies, right? It's not just, very typical things that you probably understand is most likely just, buying equities, buying shares, and just, buy a company, with cash, things like that. That's very typical, I think, way of acquiring companies. But the active investors, they don't want short sellers to to know what they're doing, right? They don't want them to know their moves, right? So they're very secretly place their bets, right? And which is through buying the company's debt or bonds or things like that, and so that they don't know what the fuck is going on behind the scene. And that's the call icons strategy. And I do believe that taking a picture with call icon is also kind of proves that that's kind of Ryan Cohen's some sort of a move here. It's not just he throw shares and I'm done with this BBY. No, it's not. It's actually whatever he did with the shares, it was actually done through a private transaction apparently. So, and that's not something that the publics share this thing, because they don't want you to know this kind of stuff, right? They don't care. They don't really care, or they don't really it's not interesting. The media wants something very like something spicy. This is not spicy. Secondary transaction, RC dumped the shares, blah blah blah. But RC did a private transaction, and that's completed in August 2018. They don't mention those kind of stuff, you know what I mean? So just as a shareholders, we have to dig, we have to do our due diligence, right? We have to do our due diligence to prove people that it's not RC dumping shares. It's actually a secondary private transaction that was completed. So I think he's still working on it. He's gonna find the best time to launch this thing, which is, he doesn't want to have a BBBY, or he doesn't want to have a squeeze when this thing is this fractal is coming downside, right? Let's say Ryan Cohen announced something with GameStop merger, BBBY, whatever, he doesn't want to announce here, because when he announces it, it will be very short lived, and then they're gonna crash it anyway, right? He wants to announce a place where things gonna blow up. You know what I mean? As a fractal wise, I know some people don't believe fractals, but look at this. It's tracking perfectly fine. It's just amazing. I mean, I can't say amazing, but it's just the way they do this. Everything is run by computers. They don't give a shit if there's not many shares available or not. The Wall Street is already like fraud. So who cares if they drop it to like this level? Who cares? The gap is right there. Okay, just press the button and just short the fuck out of it. They don't give a shit, right? They don't give a shit if they do dilutions. Who cares? Because that's what they do. And when the time comes, they're just gonna run it. That's it. And we us as a individual shareholders, we are not professional. I'm not professional either. This is not financial advice. But for us, at least we have to kind of share this kind of stuff. At least we can understand what's going on, right? And then whether you believe in fractals or not, I believe in fractals because everything makes sense. I made a lot of money from fractals too, and I lost money from fractals too. So I can't really say both at the same time. But yeah, look at let's see how this is gonna move. I think when the time comes, and when they enter into this squeeze cycle, which is in between June, end of May or June. That's when I think they're gonna kick off the BBBY, because that's the squeeze cycle. When the squeeze cycle kicks in, watch AMC, because AMC is heavily shorted, like about 10 times heavily shorted than 2020. So when this thing blow up, I think this will blow up like crazy, and I think media will be like, oh, look at AMC, retail's piled again. They don't give a shit about short squeeze. They don't really care about how the short squeeze happened. They just kind of announce it. Oh yeah, it's because the retail investor just piled in. They don't really want to cover it's because of the market manipulation. This has been suppressed so much they don't want to share those kind of stuff. So let's see what media tells us about when this thing kicks off in June. So let's take a look at GME now. So I've been kind of going back and forth, but in order to understand the GME fractals, I do believe that you have to watch AMC as well, because this thing will most likely move together. I do believe that there's gonna be some drop here. I don't know how much they're gonna drop it by Friday. How much is the max pain tomorrow? Let's check it out. So max pain is $27, so it's already above $27. So they're gonna crash it, right? There's a reason why they left the gap. So they're gonna crash it. They're gonna crush it below the $27. And then this is the phase where they need to do this pullback, right? So basically they're just making a giant May run here, April-May run here, and then I think this rally will kick off. Let's see if they're gonna run. I still need to see some of the confirmation. So, if they do this way, this thing will start to kick off in end of February. If they wanna run this faster, and I don't know. Based on RSI, it seems that they're gonna take some time here. So, we might do go ups and down, and as you can see, there's a triangle formation is forming here. As you can see here, this thing hit the bottom. Hit this area first, which what happened here, and then as you see, I draw a circle here to for you guys to have a look at it. You see, there's a short signal appear here, short signal appear here in the same spot when this thing dropped, and then this thing push up. This is when our Roaring Kitty kind of tweet. So Roaring Kitty tweet on the same spot where this thing popped, right? So and then I did tweet about that. And then pullback. I think that's the pullback, and then this thing push up. So now I think that's where we're gonna go through. We're gonna have some slight pullback here, right? Some pullback here, And then we're gonna see another pop, but there's one more pullback, right? Possibly if they run this thing like that, right? So the purple one will come down, come up again, and then do this one. You know what I mean? Go up, come down, and like that. And I think yeah. So and then I do believe that some area might be slow, some area might be fast, right? And then I think that's when we're gonna start to kick off, right? And then the teddies, the teddy from the teddy book, they dropped this some tinfoil here, which is the teddy clock, right? It was 210 to 13, right? Where's the picture here? Let me bring this up on the screen. So this is the clock from the teddy book, okay? And then this you can see is it kind of point out 2, which is February, and then this one is 10, which is maybe 10th and 12, right? Some sort of indication, kind of give you guys hints like what's gonna happen, right? But we cannot really just take this as oh yeah, that's when squeeze gonna happen. Oh, that's when something's gonna happen. Yeah, but I think this will be kind of like an indication what his plan is, right? And then this trio also somebody also mentioned that this hearts kind of represents some sort of a Valentine's Day, right? So it kind of match in the middle of the mid February, right? And if you look when I look at the fractals with the with the tin foil, it does kind of somehow match, right? So that's February 10th, that's February 12th. And then Valentine's Day, really nothing is gonna happen, but that's kind of some sort of an indication like okay, something's gonna kick off here, right? We can't just take that as like oh yeah, she's gonna blow up on that time, on that week, something like that. I think based on fractals, based on tin foil, based on what's going on with the RC Ventures move and BBBY hearing, GameStop filings, all that shit, you compile all those things and you analyze it, and then you'd be like okay, maybe you just kind of forecasting oh yeah, maybe that's when this gonna kick off. So when I kind of analyze all thing all together, I think that will be the indication when this thing start to kind of starting the engine, you know what I mean? And then I think that's the mid-February, and this thing will have to drag it out until end of February, possibly February 24th. In currently this fractals, right? So but yeah, we do really have to kind of watch out this what do you call this, some sort of a thumping wave here, like Dune, our Rowan Kitty tweet about those kind of like the duk 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 stuff. So this kind of stuff, I think we need to watch out for that. Like if this one to hit like 3 times, I think that's the kind of some sort of an indication okay, things about to blow up here, right? So let's watch out for that in February. And then after third wave, this thing will kick off, right? And then that's the sign here. So yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. So oh, and Bitcoin, yeah, sorry. So Bitcoin has been jumping up again, and people will be like, oh, where's crash? I mean, it's just moving same fractals here. They're gonna crash in February. There you go. So watch out for that. I mean, Bitcoin crash is gonna be a crazy. I mean, I just can't believe how much this will go, but based on the fractals, this could hit below 20K, you know what I mean? But the thing is, this is kind of like a 4-year cycle here, but the bottoms are continued to moving up, right? So last bottom was like what, like 15K. The other cycle bottom was like 4K, 8K, or something like that, right? 10K. So it's like the bottom will continue to rise up, but the thing is, because there's a huge volatility, right? So they're gonna when they're gonna pump the liquidity, they're gonna pump with the Bitcoin, right? So I think this is I mean, yeah, look at this. That's Bitcoin. So when I think Bitcoin, to be honest, this is like it's like a pump and dump. But I think the market makers, institutions, or I think they need, it's like in order to dump this thing, this is not a retail. I think this is more institution investors, So I've been I watched some sort of documentary about, like, I don't know, it's documentary or YouTube, whatever. So basically, Bitcoin is just kind of like, I think it's like the C, the guy made it, right? I don't know if I should say it, but but anyway, this whole thing is just kind of like, government stuff, everything is like run by algorithm, maybe AI, who knows, but like it just, yeah, when they need money, they pump it. When they need money, they're gonna grab the liquidity and just flush it out, right? And they're gonna grab this thing and just use it somewhere else. I mean, I don't know, it's just this whole thing is like pump and dump, but the bottoms are going up, so it's gonna be extremely difficult for people who don't do fractals and TA and stuff. I mean, this is not really for the beginners, right? And when people say, oh yeah, Bitcoin is going all-time high, all that shit, and people say, oh yeah, maybe I should buy in, it's like FOMOing, and then when they buy all in, this thing crash, and they just cry, and they're like, oh shit, I lost my assets, I'm fucked, what should I do? And then when they sell their assets around here, this thing just go up again, you know what I mean? So it just rinse and repeat. So I think this is all whole like fucking like pump and dump scam, but that's what they made it for, it's just, like people say, oh yeah, Bitcoin is like cryptocurrency, it's very decentralized, tokenized, all that shit, and yeah, everyone knows that. But why they promote that way? Why they make people think that way? And think about it, right? And why, who's dumping it? There's somebody who's controlling these things, and the fractals and just whole thing just makes sense and just crazy stuff, But anyway, so Bitcoin, Nvidia is also going to crash too, right? I've been talking about this for a while, and then people was like, oh, you're fucking shill and all that shit, and then, yeah, look how they dumped this thing, it's fucking crazy, how they dumped this like almost like 100 billion or 700 billion or something, just got wiped out. I've been telling you guys, there's like and people are like, oh yeah, you're fucking bullshit, all that stuff. And then when they see it flushed out, and then everyone just gone, where's the people who talk shit about market crash? They just become quiet because they see what's going on right now. So yeah, you see this whole fucking like I've been talking about this long time, like not a long time, but I've been talking about since last year. So this same thing, formation happening here. I've been talking about this all-time high RSI was kind of formed up here, right? And then when as the prices continue to rise up, RSI is going down. If the price is up here, the RSI is supposed to be up here, but RSI is going down instead. This is called the bearish divergence. If they do this, they're gonna crash, right? It's the same kind of stuff in in Bitcoin as well. Same thing is showing here as well in Nvidia, right? They pump this thing, pump the liquidity for, they bring the AI news and all this AI shit, the chips and all that stuff, and those are all just like bullshit. I think the market maker wants to pump this thing. Okay, let's say you're market makers and you want to pump it, and what can you bring? You just bring like fucking fake news. It's like you need an event, you need a, what do you call that, like you need a news, so you just drop some news. I was like, oh, AI, oh yeah, let's go, you just pump it, or is and then people just kind of pile into it, institution, yeah, sure. And then when the time comes, they just start to dumping, and then this RSI showing same thing. This was the all-time high. I think this was all-time high, I guess, the RSI wise. And then the price went up this much, way above than this one. But when the price was here, RSI is all down, all down here. What the fuck, right? If the price is already above than this area, when RSI is all-time high, RSI is supposed to go up here. But RSI is already coming down, which means that they're losing the strength. That's the bearish divergence. It's because the price and then RSI is moving differently, and that's when the market crash happened. It's the same scenario, right? 207, same thing happened I mentioned this to you about this area too, 2018, right? RSI all-time high was here, but prices continue moving up, but RSI is coming down, bearish divergence, and boom, crash. It's the same fucking shit, right? So yeah, there you go. You see now in your eye, you gotta see it. Like some people don't believe it, and you just have to see it, right? And some people, yeah, if they don't like, fractals, and just you gotta look at it and experience it, and then you know that, oh yeah, okay, that's why. You know what I mean? You don't just go like, oh yeah, the TA doesn't work. I mean, there's a reason why it's working. So yeah, there you go. So it's gonna maybe do ups, go ups and down like some sort of weird shit, and then this thing crash again in February, same time when the Bitcoin is gonna crash in February too. So yeah, there you go. So something's gonna happen here in February. So watch out for that. I don't know what are the news left. We have so FMC is gone now. What kind of stuff we have in February? Does anyone know? Does anyone know if there's any what are you seeing with Nvidia? I just showed you. My friend don't believe me or agree. Yeah, I mean, you don't want to force people to believe what you believe, but I give them a. I've been kind of talking about this bearish divergence, and people who see what I see, there's only a handful of people, like the finance a lot, and then some other guys and a couple guys, I don't know. I mean, some guys do technicals analysis and stuff like that, and they'll also look at the financial market news and all that stuff. But yeah, there's only few people can look at it. I mean, it's difficult to see this kind of stuff coming, but yeah, everything just lined up. And if anybody knows what's going to why this thing dropped in February, I don't think this is because of the maybe they're preparing some liquidity events, right? So maybe they need to maybe have some liquidity or cash to cover the short position in GameStop, or maybe it could be part of it. But I don't know what triggered Bitcoin crash in February 2nd. And same thing happened here. I think Nvidia fractals has been kind of running extremely fast here. So because this is 2007 fractals, and then when you look at 2007 fractals, this one come down here and do another one, another leg down, but they just flushed out all the way down here, just one day, boom, which means they run a fractal extremely fast here in this area. They've been dragging out, and then boom, suddenly this area, they just like rug pull them. And you know what's funny? They start to mentioning about DeepSeek, all that shit. It's all fucking bullshit in my opinion. Like how they pumped the liquidity in the last cycle. Like, oh yeah, AI, oh blah blah blah, oh yeah. Yeah, if you think about your market makers, they're like, oh, we need to pump the liquidity. Yeah, drop the news. Drop the AI, all that shit, Now they're like, okay, how are we gonna crash the market? Oh yeah, DeepSeek, Chinese technology, all that fucking shit. Yeah, they're gonna use whatever they need to to drop these things. So, but yeah, if you guys any news or any events, why this thing will drop in February, right? So something's gonna happen in between February 3rd or 4th, and that will cause the drop here. So I personally don't know what kind of events happening in early February, but that will cause another pullback here. So that's pretty much it, guys. So I hope this helped, and then yeah, crash is about to begin, and then the shorts have to. I think shorts need to prepare what's coming for GameStop, AMC, and BBBY. I think a lot of people really don't believe. I mean, not a lot of people, but I'm saying just some people they don't really believe BBBY will come back because the shares are canceled. The shares are extinguished. But it's true. It's true that the shares are gone. but it's gone for a reason, because of the NOL preservation. In order to preserve the NOL, they need to keep the stock cannot be traded. That's right. That's the reason. So and that they have to do that for 2 years. So this is the filing from BBBY. As you can see, the judge announced the trading order, which means that restrict the stock trading so as to preserve the debtor's net operating loss, which is called NOL. So NOL needs to be preserved, and then if this is preserved, the shareholder will benefit it. And normally that's how the acquirers also use the NOL to also benefit themselves, and also benefit the shareholders. And then they have to restrict the stock to trade, and if the stock is continuing to trade, they cannot preserve the NOL. So there's a pretty important fact right there. So and that's the reason why they distinguish the shares, right? And then the old shares are gone. Now the new share is, I think, coming back. So when those things come back, I think they're gonna announce it in the time where as I mentioned, when that squeeze phase gonna kicks in. You know what I mean? And I think that's gonna be June. Okay. If they delay this thing, another maybe, like I said, the algo can speed up, algo can delay things. Really depends on the market makers. It could be July, but I do see it's possible that based on the fractals, the speed right now, I'm looking as a June. June will be the squeeze phase. Okay. So BBBY I think will come back in June. And there's a reason why they moved the hearing to April. BBBY final hearing got pushed to April, and I think there's a reason why it got pushed back, right? So that's final hearing. If they don't push back, that's final hearing, and then they're gonna announce something in filings. GameStop start to kicking off. Maybe they do merger here and then kick off a giant short squeeze, right? So and then there's people speculate that maybe BBBY a shareholder will receive some of a fraction of a GameStop shares. You know what I mean? And I think that's a possible reason, because GameStop need a catalyst to also squeeze, right? And then I think RC is very brilliant guy. I think, in my opinion, I never really thought about they're gonna announce some sort of they haven't announced it yet, but they had some sort of a shelf offering kind of stuff, right? So they did a ATM offering, but they didn't really sell into the market, so they already kept those kind of shares for a reason. And I think they're gonna use those shares for maybe potentially give it to a BBBY shareholders, right? Let's say maybe you have 4 shares of BBBY, you get 1 GameStop share, something like that. And then if that happens, that makes sense, because after BBBY hearing in April, they're gonna do some sort of a merger acquisition, for example, and then that's kick off the fucking squeeze here. And in order to make this squeeze of 500, the Greg guy, Greg kept mentioning about 500. This thing hit 500 exactly. So that's very interesting, right? So he already knows. I think he already knows what I'm seeing here. Not financial bias, but it's very interesting for me from my perspective, because I look at the whole fractals based on what's going on very tightly. Doesn't mean that this is correct, but I think there's a reason why he mentioned about 500. And then there's a reason why BBBY final hearing got pushed back to April. And then there's a reason why Ryan Cohen also move his shares to from RC Ventures to himself, because Canadian BBBY is also ongoing, and then they're gonna perform the butterfly transaction, and that butterfly transaction happened a lot in Canada. And then what else do I have to mention? Yeah, everything is very strategic. That's pretty much it. Pretty much what I can say. And if BBY comes back with the GameStop, and then the BBY shareholder receive also their own shares, but also they have their own. They got maybe fraction of a GameStop shares, and then the short seller have to buy back shares forcefully to cover their short positions with the GameStop shares, which caused a short squeeze, and that completely makes sense to me. And then it's not a joke. I think it's extremely very smart move. I really never thought about that kind of ideas, but you know, RC is, I think he's a genius. So yeah, I think that's kind of what I see here, and that's not it. Okay, there's one more squeeze here. So we're gonna see a squeeze in June. We might see another run in next year, early next year. Okay, and I don't want to go into next year right now because we still haven't get into the June yet. But just letting you know, there's gonna be a two squeeze, one in June, one in early next year, and I haven't really figured out that yet because this is a Jan squeeze and this is a June squeeze, right? AMC right now, AMC is going through this fractal, so we'll see how they're gonna use these fractals to short squeeze the BBBY and GameStop and also AMC. So let's continue watch out for that, and that's pretty much it for today. And then yeah. I'm sorry to say more downside, but we're gonna see a giant rally very soon in between February and March. So yeah, thanks for stopping by, and I'm gonna see you guys next updates. Thank you.